writing doesn't mean that you have to write the next great American book of poetry or the next novel.
Yeah.
It can just mean that you found a way to encapsulate what you're doing, and telling your own story matters.
Hello, and welcome to The Book Drop, Omaha Public Library's podcast about books, our community, and the joy of reading. I'm Maggie Peterson. I'm the Outreach Manager for Omaha Public Library, and I'm joined as always by
Amy Ballard, the Partnerships Manager for Omaha Public Library.
Look, the cookbooks do not bother me, to be clear.
We love a cookbook.
I have an actual bookcase in my dining room, and it's local authors, poetry, and cookbooks.
Yeah, I know. I have so many cookbooks. We did have to my husband and I were like, okay, we don't have any more room. We got to weed. And then sometimes you go through you go through phases.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we had a bunch of vegan ones from East.
Same.
Yeah. And we were like, okay, do we need 5 of them or do we just pick the best one that we love and actually cook from? And so that's what we were doing.
Do you have the one from the woman?
East Moskowitz? Yes.
Okay, because I have her cookies, I have her pie,
yes,
and then I have Post Punk Kitchen.
Yeah.
And then Bryant Terry has a really good soul food vegan one that I love.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So that's what we were like, okay, we're going to weed some. So we did. And now we can fit all our cookbooks in. But again, they keep coming out and I'm like, oh, aren't you pretty?
Yes. So many cookbooks. My husband's like, we have a 10-year-old and we don't have time to cook this much.
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't matter.
I bet.
But one day I'm going to want this and then I'll have it.
I know. Exactly. I know. We have a special guest. And also before I have our special guest tell us who she is, I just want to say it is April, it is raining, and it is National Poetry Month.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Hello, guests. Thank you for coming down to our new podcast studio to record with us. Well, with me.
Hello, host. Thank you for letting me come down to the Central Library and witness the podcasting studio. It's amazing in here.
It is amazing. It's so quiet and comfy, especially on a rainy day. I love it. Yeah. Well, tell us who you are, what organization you are from, and tell us your path there.
Okay, my name is Zedeka Poindexter. I am Omaha born and raised, and I am the executive director of the Nebraska Writers Collective. We are an almost 20-year-old organization that focuses on the ways that the spoken and written word can build community and connection. So I have what I selfishly believe is the best job in the world.
I agree.
Because my job is to make sure people have spaces to write and to share the things that they write. And that's a pretty great way to live.
I can imagine. And also, I really think about just your everyday experience with these young poets and all poets, really, and how inspired you are by their stories and by their writings. And I imagine that it inspires what you do every single day. Like, so much gratitude in that space.
My favorite part about it is I didn't know what a poet laureate was when I was in high school. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And now I've actually met laureates, both of Nebraska and of our nation. And it's really crazy that if you're in front of someone and you just show them a thing is possible, the ways that they hold on to that possibility and just grow from there are miraculous.
Right.
One of our youth poet laureates came to us because I was with former state poet Matt Mason at a small town in Gordon, Nebraska. And someone stopped us in the middle of the presentation and said, wait, you're poets? That's possible? And within 18 months, she was our Nebraska Youth Poet Laureate, a finalist for the National Youth Poet Laureate, and performed at the Kennedy Center as part of the cohort. So that's what happens when you just give someone the space to learn something's available to them.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I just had a conversation with a couple poets. We had our podcast. We just recorded it was our reading challenge, and it was about writers and writing. And I don't write, but I keep thinking about it, and I do think about poetry a lot, but I also feel like I'm not even qualified to even write like one sentence of poetry. But they were like, you are wrong, Amy, and this is why. And so they suggested some really great books. And they also, one of the things that you did, like, kind of speaks to what you were just talking about, was like they wish the kids were actually exposed to different types of poetry, not like the classics, because that doesn't land or connect with them. And what they really need to do is hear poetry of like what is happening, what youth are doing, and what all the different types of poetry and how that can be expressed. And it doesn't always have to rhyme, and it can be story. And speaking poetry out loud can sound different than actually reading it. And that's two different ways to sort of consume it, if you will.
Absolutely. Canon is really loaded because it's meant very specific things in academic spaces that don't necessarily resonate as our language grows and expands and we have new people interacting.
Right.
And the ways that our language has changed and our music tastes have changed and our reading choices have changed and social media. So I love the idea of canon being whatever moved a generation and allows them to push themselves forward to the point where someone else can take up the mantle.
Right.
So there are ways that Shakespeare can be incredibly modern. I'm specifically Much Ado About Nothing. They had a run with Daniel Brooks, right? But you hear it out loud and it means something different. But also hearing or seeing Nikki Giovanni, Patricia Smith, who is one of my favorite authors, anything that is happening in the world of slam. Recently. Our national champion is a man goes by the name of Black Chakra. His work is incredibly impactful and very influenced by hip hop. There are so many different ways that you can access poetry. Poetry is just any great story. It's just about being concise and economical with your language. It's a great short story.
Oh my God, I love that you said that because both of these, Maggie Smith and Amy Haddad, both.
I love them both.
I know. I'm actually going to listen to Amy tonight, read her poetry. And they both talked about like how to subtract, like you said, being economical with your language. And it really is like, how can I say what I'm saying, but using less words and more powerful words, which I just thought was so interesting to think about. Instead of like, let me cram all the words in here, you really are distilling it down.
Being a good editor of your work is a huge, for me, part of poetry, because it could be you have this huge story that's amazing, but it might be 3 to 4 poems.
Right.
It's just a matter of this is one piece of it. This is how I felt about it. This is how the room looked. And then could be another poem about another feeling. It's just about whittling it down to something that's really, really short that someone can access and kind of live inside of.
Right.
It makes them connect with you in this little bitty piece of time.
Yeah. I love that. So, how old were you when you are just like, when did you were you in high school when you wrote your first poem, or?
I was absolutely in high school. I was raised by an epic reader. My grandmother had 3 books at all times, and it would be random. It would be like a book of poetry, some random piece of fiction, and like Leo Iacocca's like autobiography. It was strange.
Wow. I love that.
And I still have her books. They were one of my favorite possessions. But I just always wrote poems. I just thought it was a weird thing that no one ever talked about. Just write them in my notebook here and there. And then in 1999, there used to be, actually in the spot that we're standing, there used to be a Borders bookstore.
I remember the Borders barely. I just moved here and before it was converted.
Yeah. And Matt Mason used to host a poetry slam there.
Oh.
And I walked in figuring, why not try and see what happens? And that was the first time I got like real non-familial affirmations about the poetry I wrote.
Right.
And I was hooked. And so I went to my first poetry slam in 99, and I've been writing and performing consistently ever since.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is amazing. Do you have specific themes that you like to write about? Like, is it family? Is it like, what are those? What bubbles up for you?
The thing that I'm probably the most known for is blending family history themes with food writing.
Yeah.
I adore a good cookbook, and I adore my family and all the things that I've learned from them over the years. So the poem that gets most requested for me is a poem called Peach Cobbler.
My favorite.
Yes. So it talks about my grandmother, but it talks about the ways that we navigated each other and the world all at the same time. But I have a bunch of food poems. I basically have a poetic dinner party sitting in my house that I have to figure out how to complete and get published one day.
Oh my gosh, please let me know when that happens, because I will be the first person in line to buy it. And everybody listening to this podcast, that is my first exposure to Zedeka. It was downtown Omaha Lit Fest, and we had it off-site. Ted Wheeler had taken it over after many years of Timothy Shoppert. Really taking care of the event part of it. And it was over at
The Highland?
The Highlander, and it was outside, and I think Todd Robinson was emceeing. It was really great. And so Zedeka got up there and read Peach Cobbler, and I literally was writing notes at that moment because I had a culinary conference that I was running at the library at that time, and I was like, I need to make sure that I reach out to her because I want her to perform at at our culinary conference, which unfortunately didn't happen because I think it was COVID. Yeah, everything was disrupted. But I remember after you finished that poem, I was blown away because one of my favorite genres of like reading is anything rooted in food stories and culinary and family. Like I love it so very much. And your Peach Cobbler one, I have talked about for years with folks. I love it.
I appreciate it. It's one of my favorites. It was actually the first in the food series. But since then I've gone through like soups and greens and all these other different things and cornbread and biscuits. It's kind of fun to think about what we put on our table and how it connects us. How you talk about cumin or salt or what starch you use when you serve meals. All of those are really culturally specific.
Yes.
And it can build really interesting conversations when you're in a room talking to other people who want to start writing about how they access it. Plus, food's a really interesting way to get people to write because they're already passionate about it.
Yes.
And they can see it and they can taste it and they can smell it.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm inspired now.
It's one of my favorite workshops actually to teach.
Okay. Make sure that I know about that so I can sign up.
I will.
As OPL and Nebraska Writers Collective, we have been doing a lot of collaborative programming for many, 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 many years.
I adore it here.
I know.
I'm a library kid. My daughter's a library kid, so the idea of working in partnership with the library, absolutely perfect for me. But the idea that because we're a organization without a brick and mortar. We exist to move poetry and writing into spaces where other people already are.
Yeah.
And so the idea of partnering with the library over time to host workshops or to host readings has been incredibly powerful because there are these already standing, activated spaces where we can send a writer to say, let's talk about food writing. Let's talk about building a D&D character. Let's talk about travel writing. And there you already have these amazing communities built up that we can just tap into and kind of help build what's already there.
I love it so much. And it really spans to so many different ways that we try to reach people, like through genealogy and local history is like a really great example. Teens, especially with thinking about role playing and D&D and all those fun things. But it is sort of that beginning access point where anybody coming in, taking this class or workshop can be inspired to do more. And I love it.
And writing and poetry doesn't have to be one thing. Just because you've heard any writer that I or anyone else may mention doesn't mean that when you write, it's less valid because it doesn't sound like that. Maybe you're forging your way to a new form. Right. Maybe you're just forging your way to a new way of examining your life, and that is the perfect thing that it needs to be. Writing doesn't mean that you have to write the next great American book of poetry or the next novel. Yeah. It can just mean that you found a way to encapsulate what you're doing, and telling your own story matters. If books are taken away, or if someone tries to tell your story, do you want someone else to tell it secondhand, or do you want to be the teller of your own story?
Yeah.
And so just write the thing down. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's yours.
Right.
Why not have a record?
I love it. I love it so much. Tell us about some of the programming that you all do with youth. What's happening?
Well, the thing we are most known for is for the All Rights Reserved Youth Spoken Word Festival, which was previously branded Louder Than a Bomb.
Yes.
We're celebrating our 15th year of that youth tournament.
Wow.
At our height, we had 45 teams from across Nebraska and Southwest Iowa competing. Now we're up into the we have 26 teams, I believe, this year, which is pretty good as a rebound from the COVID era. Everybody gets to be in team slams, and the thing I love the most about them is students who have literally no reason to be in the same room. Like it'll be a team from Lincoln High, a team from Ogallala, Benson High, and a homeschool team, all in the same room, getting to experience each other's work and experiences.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. And we do that every year. Our finals for that is coming up soon, but if you're looking to participate, April 14th and 16th, we'll be at the Highlander on 30th Street, and you can see the semifinals where the top 16 teams for the tournament get to compete for the finals, and it is the most loving, warm competition you'll ever find.
I love it.
So that's our biggest program, closely followed at this point by the Nebraska Youth Poet Laureate program. where every year we're going to pick our 6th laureate this year, actually on Saturday, April 11th. And we look for a person who loves writing, but also is really civically engaged.
Oh, love that.
And we partner with Civic Nebraska as a program partner to work with that young person to kind of figure out how to activate what's important to them. Our most recent laureate has done a lot with ecology and native plants. And so that's her specific way of thinking about the world. So she's done a series of native plant workshops. Previous to that, we've had one who worked in missing and murdered Indigenous women and did an art installation at the state capitol. We had someone who did a series of writing workshops and published a book on healing from trauma. There was a mobile mural celebrating neighborhoods in Lincoln. And then we also had someone who did an educational equity website. So each year it's a little bit different and it's specific to that kid. We pick judges from across the state and across the nation, and they decide who our person will be. So if you're interested in finding out who the next person is, follow our website or come to the commencement on the 11th.
Wow. So I attended, I don't remember if it was a semifinal or finalist at the Holland last year.
That was finals, yeah.
Finalists. And folks, I have to tell you, that was one of the most inspiring events I have ever attended. I was blown away by these young poets and their stories, and thought about it I still think about it. It was phenomenal.
There has not been a year of this tournament where I have not burst into tears repeatedly, which is what that means. I'm still tapped into the work. So that makes me happy. So they've gotten used to me weeping in a corner, and that's fine. But these students understand what they're thinking. They know what they feel. They're figuring out ways to share it with other people so it's accessible. They're standing flat-footed and saying it out loud. That is a lifetime skill. If they never participate in another poetry slam, these kids walk into the world knowing how they feel, how to express it, and to get someone's attention, and to command a room.
Huge.
That's invaluable.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Wow. That's so amazing.
It's super cool.
Yeah. We'll make sure we have all those links up on our show notes so folks can tap into that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's another program that we have that I don't talk about as much. It's called Writer's Block. So it's kind of what we do in the community, except for we're focused on places of incarceration.
Yeah.
So we do monthly thematic writing workshops in partnership with the Department of Corrections. And we're also doing a credit workshop with the Nebraska Youth Correctional Facility, which basically means they're going to get credit in English and in performing arts, because our teaching artists are going in to work with them week over week to do written work and also working towards a performance.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a not incredibly well publicized part of the work that we do, but it's incredibly impactful because all Nebraska voices matter, and it doesn't matter where they're at.
Exactly.
So whether they're rural, whether they're incarcerated, whether they're urban, wherever they are, the more voices that we record and encourage, the better stories we have to tell the rest of the world. Because if we're not flyover country, there's amazing storytelling happening here.
I agree 100%. And stories and storytelling is my heart and soul. Like, that's why I love working in public libraries. I want to capture all the stories, either in like book form, zine form, recorded form, any way that we can record it, because I think it's so important, because I really do think it will connect with somebody out there and could influence, inspire so many things.
What does it look like if my daughter, who's 10 right now, 20 years from now, can hear my voice or the voice of someone else in Nebraska? And if we don't do the work to record them, they're gone. They only exist through the stories of the people who touch them. We have to start recording our voices. Otherwise, they kind of dissipate. And I don't want that for any of the amazing Nebraska writers I know.
Oh my gosh, I agree. I just was on a panel yesterday. So one of the things I do is partner with Metro, because we have a restaurant menu collection. So Brian O'Malley, which I'm sure you know, who's such a brilliant, phenomenal person in our community, puts together a panel every quarter. I'll send you the next one. It's about neighborhoods. But anyway, we talked about steakhouses. And I was like, Brian, we have to start recording these, because these stories are not going to be around after a while, because we are talking to the folks that own Johnny's and the folks that owns Cassio's, and we just need to record it, because we have seen lots of restaurants like close, and we want to get their stories.
Yeah, there was a huge steakhouse, which was one of our claims to fame, right on 30th and Ford. And it's now a T-Mobile in an apartment complex.
Yes.
And no one knows it was there unless you lived here then.
I know. Mr. C's?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went there right before I moved here. I was like, what is this place? This is amazing. Look at all these Christmas lights and all this like wild tchotchkes everywhere. I thought I like entered Las Vegas and I loved it so much. Yeah. Awesome. Well, there's something really big happening. And I remember that we've been working almost like a year. We've been like talking about the Central Library's opening April 19th from noon to 5. It's our first day. We're so excited. The mayor's going to do a story time with the kids. I know. And he's going to cut the ribbon and then do the story time. We're so, so excited. But I know that we've been like, okay, what can we do here with all the amazing events that you're doing? So we've been like back and forth, trying to figure it out. And then you said, Amy, guess what?
So when we have a Nebraska Youth Poet Laureate, it's not where that person ends. They get a full year of support from us, but after that, they apply to be our regional Youth Poet Laureate. Those 4 regions become the finalists for the National Youth Poet Laureate position. The first National Youth Poet Laureate was Amanda Gorman, who performed at the inauguration.
Yes.
This year is the 10th year of that program. And because we are the first statewide sponsor of the Youth Poet Laureate program, we pitched the idea of taking it out of the East Coast and bringing it to the Midwest. And they were enthusiastically into that idea. So Nebraska is the host city, and the Central Library is the host site for the 10th annual National Youth Poet Laureate Commencement on Saturday, April 25th.
Oh, my gosh, and we will definitely have links. There will be a lot of social media. There already is. But folks, can I tell you, when Zedeka, I don't know if you've called or emailed, you're like, I think you probably talked on the phone. And I was like, okay, there's no better way for us to like really open a library, but with this incredible event. Like, wow.
We were sitting around once we finally got it locked in, and I was like, where could we do this? And we were thinking about a lot of different venues and what was the right size. And I was like, And I'm really lucky. Yeah, you picked up the phone and asked me for a little bit more information. And I think it was less than a day when we were like, it's done.
I know. You're booked.
So we get to be the first major, I think we were your first like rental, like big event.
It is. Yeah.
So we get to be here, we get to celebrate, and it's a truly national literary event.
Exactly.
And the idea of doing that in a space like this that is meant to engage community means so much to me and also to the host organization. They are ecstatic. I don't think they're prepared for how gorgeous this space is. I'm prepared to blow minds the entire day.
I know. It really is an incredible space. And you saw, before we've added like bookshelves and everything. So every day it changes a little bit more. So opening day is just going to be absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that entire week, whenever I'm not working on, getting the national folks put together, I'm absolutely, me and my daughter are going to be,
I love it,
wandering around, playing, getting in the good, comfy, modular furniture.
Exactly.
And reading books and having a coffee because there's a coffee shop in here, y'all.
Exactly. Zen Coffee will be here.
So it's just amazing. I couldn't think of any better place. It's centrally located. It is architecturally astounding.
It really is.
And it feels good here. There's really no other way to see it.
Do you know, I feel like it would be interesting. I almost want to like just start writing down all the words that come to me when I think about Central Library. But one that keeps coming up for me is expansive. Mm-hmm. Like, I just feel like it is a space where there's so much that you can do, mm-hmm. but it doesn't feel overwhelming. It almost feels like, oh, I'm going to go over here and drop in, or I'm going to go over here and drop in, and I'm going to be inspired to either do this or inspired to do something else.
There's so many different ways that you could access. Language is this kind of constantly growing tool, and words aren't the only language that you can use. And the fact that there are books and podcasts and music studios and fabric tools and all of those things here, those are all languages that we can use to better record our times. The fact that it's built that way, so we pick our access point and kind of focus on that is amazing.
I know. I love it. I love it. And art is another language. Mm-hmm. You're just looking at it. It is speaking to us.
The art, y'all. The art is astounding.
It is so great. Exactly. And one piece, especially has a connection to you. You want to tell us more?
Yes. So I have a lot of really incredibly talented people in my family who do a lot of different work. One of my relatives is a local artist named Celeste Butler, and her installation is right outside of the community room where we'll be crowning the National Youth Poet Laureate.
I love it. I feel like her piece was absolutely meant to be there to sort of to be in conversation with the community and with the community room. I love it.
And the texture, like, I am not a visual artist. No one wants me drawing anything. Believe
Same.
me. I do words, but the way that piece is textural, and the way you just kind of want to reach out and touch it, don't do that. But you will want to. It's amazing, and I think it's a really gorgeous way for someone to walk in the building and immediately kind of get grounded in the fact that yes, art is also a language.
Right. And there's so many ways to express art. And that's the other thing that we always want to make sure everybody in the world knows. It can happen through 2D, 3D words, speaking, making, all the things.
Yeah, and when you have enough opportunities for all of them in the same place, these collaborations come up. What does it look like if there's spoken word and there's the written word? What does it look like if we start using art tools to kind of add in to make art books? What does it look like if there are words like this piece that's outside this podcast studio that are built into a 3-dimensional art piece?
Right.
What do all those different things look like? Just because we have our heart space for art does not mean there aren't ways for us to collaborate with other people and make entirely new things that touch more people.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So one of the things that I love about having guests on the podcast is to tell us their book picks or other picks. It could be podcast, books, resource, whatever that is. So I purposely didn't even put anything to the document that I shared with you because I was like, well, Zedeka must go first because I'm dying to see all the great stuff she's going to put.
So first of all, the part about this that I cannot stand is the fact you gave me 3.
Oh, I should have said you can go on and on and on and on and on. You are welcome.
The really cool, because I started with persona books, which is kind of one of the ways I started performing and then moved on from there. But if you were looking to figure out how to write your own poems and edit them, Mary Oliver is an astounding poet.
Both Maggie and Amy also said Mary Oliver.
Yes. So if you get her poetry handbook, that is an amazing place to start thinking about your work.
Okay.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Okay.
Now, my North Star of poetry is a woman named Patricia Smith. She was a slam poet, so she started with one of the first national poetry slams. She went on to get many book awards. I believe she's shortlisted for the Pulitzer this year or the National Book Award, maybe both. So she's fantastic. She's still an incredible reader of her work. So you can access it on the page, but also you can hear her, and it adds a different layer. And she does astounding things. And she has a book called The Intentions of Thunder, which is her new and selected works. So you get to see some of her amazing previous work along with some new pieces. I adore that book, and the cover is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And she's actually been visited Omaha a couple times, actually. So I've gotten to meet her and only cried a little.
I love it.
If you're looking to build an artistic practice, like something that you do day after day, week after week, there's a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
Yeah.
Which is just an amazing access point. It forces you to start to look at what is it that you do to pour into yourself and your artistic practice every day. If it's just 3 pages in the morning, those 3 pages will start to unlock the next thing that you're meant to create.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know across genres, I know dancers, visual artists, writers, all who've tapped into her work and found it incredibly useful to them. If you're looking for a local writer, Terry Yeomans Grimm has an amazing persona book called Becoming Lila Dore, which is a series of poems about a silent film star. And it's like an arc that tells her story from her small town to becoming this silent film star. And the poems are miraculous.
Oh, wow.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Also, Brutal Imagination by Cornelius Eady. He's Susan Smith was a woman who drove her kids into a lake and then said a mysterious black man stole her car with her kids in it.
Yeah.
Brutal Imagination is a persona book from the perspective of the fictional black man who took her children.
Oh my gosh.
It's wild and breathtaking. It's so good. And then Aloud is poems from the Nuyorican Poets Cafe. If you want to see poems that work on the page, but you speak them out loud and they have a different level of power, that's where you go.
Yeah.
And my last and very self-serving, I would say, recommendation is the Nebraska Writers Collective actually has a small press under our wing.
Yes.
And every year we put out an anthology of youth writers Writers. So it's all rights reserved. And each year we put out a new collection. So we have those available. And I would say that you should check any of those out. We're figuring out how to get them available in our central library.
We are.
And you can contact us at the Nebraska Writers Collective if you would like to see them. We've been doing this for almost 10 years now.
I love it.
And we also put out a book by the Youth Poet Laureate every year. So we're getting ready to put together the book for Victoria Bogatz, who is our outgoing Youth Poet Laureate right now.
Love it so much. It's so funny because I put All Rights Reserved as one of my book picks. And then the only other one before, and then I put Zedeka's Peach Cobbler, which I could probably find a link to. Is that possible?
It is what weirdly I don't publish very much, but yes, it is definitely one that is in a book called A Light Best Loved Poems of the Women of the World Poetry Slam.
Okay, I'll get that link from you.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other one, because we had served on a committee for the Nebraska Cultural Endowment, and Ada Limon, who was the current poet laureate when she came, right?
Yes, she was, yes.
And all of her books. So I basically listed all of her books, which I'll add because she is such a fun, and I actually love reading and listening to her.
She's a great reader of her own work.
Yeah, she really is. Oh my gosh. But yeah, she actually has a new one, which I did not know was coming out, Startlement.
I didn't know about that.
I didn't either. So I'm going to add that to the show notes. And The Hurting Kind, which is great. Bright Dead Things. The Caring.
The Caring is superb.
And I first heard her read her own poetry, and it was during COVID. So I'm pretty sure I've probably told you about this organization. And if I haven't, how dare I not have shared this information with you, is the Southern Foodways Alliance.
Yes.
They're so brilliant.
They put out books periodically. Yeah.
Yeah, they sure do. And during COVID, they have a yearly Foodways conference. Mm-hmm. And during COVID, they did it digitally. And I signed up to watch it. Mm-hmm. And it was the most powerful recordings of stories that I've ever heard. And Ada Limon had written, and they were all food themed. And she read one of her poets, and I was like, who is this woman? She's amazing. And of course, I'm sure all the poetry, sometimes it takes me a minute to catch up with everybody else. But I was a fan right after that, and was so excited that she came to Omaha.
It was such an amazing event that Maggie and the team at the Nebraska Cultural Endowment put together. That was a really great night. And
it really was.
It's like me being a kid from 24th and Bristol who didn't know what a laureate was growing up, just knew my grandma read books, to being in a room where I'm watching a youth poet laureate, a state poet, and a national youth poet laureate talking about their work and getting to watch it from backstage.
Yeah.
Was just truly one of the most transformational moments of my career.
Absolutely. I loved it. Oh my gosh. Zedeka, it has been such a pleasure having you on our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing.
And there's still plenty of tickets for folks
to get. We have a little over 100 tickets left.
Okay.
They'll be in the show notes.
Yes.
Or you can go to anywriters.org, and under our events tab, there's a link to be able to register for tickets. You have to register.
Yes.
Because I love you all. Everybody can't come. I need to know who's coming.
It's true. We do require a registration.
Yes. But it is an absolutely free to the public event, and you'll hear some amazing work that night. I promise you that.
For sure. And where else can folks find you?
The best place to find us is our website is anywriters.org. We also have an Instagram page, which is also at Anywriters, where we give, which every Wednesday we give out free writing prompts to help you start your own work. And we'll talk about the events that we have going, including the upcoming Youth Poetry Slam and Youth Poet Laureate commencement ceremonies. And we also have a Facebook page, which is also under Anywriters.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Yay. This has been so fun.
Thank you. This is the best.
Every book, resource, or thing that we mentioned that we can link to on the internet can be found in list form in our episode description. So if you missed something we talked about, check out that list.
The Book Drop is produced by Omaha Public Library. Our theme music is Trapped in Amber, courtesy of the band Lucid Fugue. Don't forget to subscribe to The Book Drop on your favorite podcast app and like and follow Omaha Public Library on social media.